Hello everybody, my name is Deku and welcome back to MILGRAM. Last time we finished watching Weakness and Umbilical along with the audio dramas involved. The video was a little bit longer because we watched the very boring Song of Prisoners, which you guys told me not to watch by the time I had already recorded it. But this time, I waited a little bit to kind of properly gauge on how to, approach watching these videos. And most of you guys say that, yes, I should just continue doing the duos. So for today, we're going to be watching Fuda, and then we're going to watch Mu. And then we're going to watch the associated audio dramas with those. In the next episode, we're going to watch Shido and Mahiru. So, yeah, those are kind of the way that I'm going to be approaching this. Again, I want to say thank you so much for the absolute support on this video, on these videos, because this is going to be kind of long. And as much as I love doing long series, the one thing that kind of worries me is not being able to consistently keep the same viewerships, right? Because Milgram's first episode cracked 2,000, but the last video, I can see it's closely approaching 1,000, and I'm wanting that to continue with this episode as well. So if you want to see that and you want to see more of this, remember to like, comment. I have a Patreon down below and memberships. Both are very cheap. The Patreon is free. I'm constantly getting new free members, and if you're a free member, you get your name at the very end of the video. Until there's too many free members and I have to stop listing them, because I know eventually I'll have to stop doing that. So get it while it's hot, artificial scarcity and all that. But yes, we're going to be watching Fuda and Bring It On, and then Crying Bee and After Pain all today. Hopefully it won't be as long as the last two videos, because god damn did those take so long to edit. I stayed up until like 3 a.m. editing last night, and I did not expect to be up until 3 a.m. last night, because I was like, I want to get good night's sleep and wake up early so that I can, check comments, I can, interact with the community and all that, and then go and watch everything. But let's stop yapping and get to it. Here is Fuda Braze You, the vocal drama.
随分な荒れようじゃないか。囚人番号3番、フータ。
誰のせいだと思ってんだ、クソガキが。
僕は看守だ。
I think I'm just too gooner brained. I don't think I'll be able to hear his name and not laugh. Widow Overwatch! Widow Overwatch! Widow Overwatch! I always imagine myself as Widowmaker in those videos.
言葉遣いには気をつけろ。
なめんじゃねえぞ。こんなところに連れてきて偉そうにしやがって。
どうした？震えているぞ。
やってやる。やってやるよ。なんだこれ。見えない壁がある。
ほう、理屈はわからないが、ジャッカロープが言っていたのはこれか。囚人から看守。
Oh, I wonder if it's maybe subliminal conditioning, like a brain thing. I mean, almost like a trigger word, kind of like stopping them from moving, right? Or it could be supernatural shit, like literally just an invisible wall stopping them from reaching S. But so far, I'm really liking Fuda, because he seems the kind of person that is angry, but kind of uses it as a mask, but also just that's just how he is, right? Because one of the ways that a lot of people see aggression negatively, a lot of people see brazenness as negative, right? They would rather have reservedness. They would rather have, passivity and the like. And well, obviously, you guys know me. That's a lot how I work. I am very brazen. I'm very fucking loud. I swear all the time and like shit talk all of the time. But I hope that I'm able to properly portray that I am not a mean person. I am just I'm just me. I'm just him. And I'm really feeling that that's what's going on with Fuda, because if you notice, instead of instantly going for conflict with S, he was willing to first go away before that, which could also potentially have some sort of psychological stuff with him, that he wishes to avoid conflict and only be within conflict that he knows he'll win and dominate in, which is a trait that is within a lot of psychological issues. So
への攻撃はできない。
なんだっつんだよ。現実じゃねえのか、ここは。
無害とはいえ感心しないな。監視への攻撃行動、とても悪印象だ。
こんなふざけた場所へ閉じ込めたやつが何言ってやがる。立派な正当防衛だ。何笑ってやがる。
いや、すまない。こっちの話だ。
Yeah, it is kind of funny. I want to take this moment to say, warning. I do not take my legal advice as legitimate. YouTube, this is mostly for entertainment, and is for educational purposes only. And no one is being hurt or anything. I am not violating TOS. But did you know that in the U.S., you are allowed to use self-defense in unlawful situation against law enforcement? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But do research first. Don't just take my word of advice. Anyway, Fuda is based for trying to immediately strangle a police officer, me reaching for the officer's sidearm.
なんだよ、てめえ。
まあ一旦座れ、フータ。尋問を始める。
はじめ。
どうした？腰が抜けて立てないか？
バカにするじゃねえ。そもそも俺は自分が囚人だなんて認めてねえ。こんなわけわかんねえ場所に連れてくるなんて人権侵害だ。
自分を囚人だと認めていないか。
当たり前だ。無実の人間を拘束して監禁するなんざ、てめえの方がよっぽど犯罪者じゃねえか。他の奴らはなんでか素直に受け入れてやがるが、俺はごまかされねえぞ。
Okay, I was waiting to hear it. I was waiting to hear Ore, but I called it last episode that he's the exact kind of person to constantly use the word time and Ore, which is very on point for him. But so far, he doesn't really seem to be the stereotypical aggressive like anime trope. You know the type, right? He definitely seems to be worried about himself, and that he thinks that he did no wrong. And I'm wondering that if his murder was out of passion, right? Which is a term used when referring to murder, as in instead of like being done. I think, is it being done in the moment? Oh, goddamn. Hold on. Okay, yeah, I just looked it up. Yes, it is. Crime of passion refers to being done in the heat of the moment, and just doing it like from provocation or escalation and the like. And one party escalates, and then you escalate more and choose to commit the crime. Then, which is obviously you can kind of see just based on the way that's labeled that there's a lot of issues with that. But then again, that's the U.S. justice system and Western justice system as an ideal. So I'm definitely thinking that Fuda was that was his thing, right? That was what he did. He probably wasn't like, actively thinking about it. He wasn't stalking. Maybe it was in the heat of the moment, thinking of maybe even helping somebody, right? Vigilantism, because that was one of my theories that I had before. And I'm expecting the murders that are being done not to just be selfish. One of them has to have been selfless and not directly self-interested. So that's what we're going to be going for.
それはおかしいな。お前らは全員人殺しだと聞いている。
知らねえ。誰が言ってんだそんなこと。
思い当たる節もないと。
当たり前だ。名誉毀損だろそれ。
しかし、人殺しという言葉が
That's slander. And if it's written, it's liable.
出た瞬間に腕を組み出したな。これ以上
Kitogarashi.
踏み込んで欲しくないか。
は？
囚人ではないと僕に殴りかかるほどだ。日本の法律を犯していないという自信があるんだろう。
そう言ってんじゃねえか。
しかし人殺しには反応した。立件はできない。犯罪ではない。ただ人は殺した。
Yep, clock that shit. I fucking I locked on that. That it definitely seems that he was not committing a crime such as premeditating it. It just happened. Which again, symbolically, someone who is a hothead committing a crime of passion in the heat of the moment, and instead of premeditating it, like other killers would and the like, to where it's just murder instead of, okay, let's kind of use S's terminology here. Instead of committing a crime, such as meditating on it and planning it out, he just killed someone. It was not out of any sort of reason. It just happened.
目をそらしたな。
バカバカしい。的外れだぜ。
話し始める前に唇を舐めたな。緊張している証拠だ。嘘をつき慣れていないのか。
いい加減にしろってね。
Notice the sound there. It seems like he was reaching there. It's not that he came close and then suddenly, like, almost got in his personal space and then it stopped him. It's almost as if he reached and fucking Gojo Infinity happened.
頭に血が上ると暴力が無意味だということまで忘れてしまうのか。
汚ねえぞてめえ。
ちなみに教えといてやろう。仕草や反応
He
で
definitely does seem to have a lot of confidence because he's willing to like get in other people's space because he's being insulted by them.
心理が読めるなんてことはありえない。それらしい話に簡単に騙されないようにな。残念ながらお前の言う人権侵害も監禁も名誉毀損もミルグラムでは全く問題にならない。ここはそういった断りの外にある。
そんなこと認められっか。
Which is an interesting idea that whenever someone is imprisoned for breaking the law no longer applies to them once in prison, which in of itself is, contradictory. So.
自分の立場をわきまえろ。何を言おうと、お前は人殺しの囚人だ。決して逃げられない。お前に判決が下るまで。
Their little boots smacking the ground. Bow, 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 bow. I'm just imagining this little short dude. He's like walking around with his hands behind his back, but then it's kind of cute thinking about.
くだらねえ。俺は殺してねえ。殺してねえんだ。
Denial. He's probably.
殺してねえ。
I wonder. Well, yeah, right there. I was about to say. I wonder if he's actively trying to push it out of his mind, or if he doesn't really actually remember because of trauma, right? Because he could be grieving that fact, right? The fact that he killed somebody and didn't want to, right? Because he did it in the heat of a moment, right? It's kind of like getting into a fight, you know. As you're fighting, you know, you're throwing fists, you're fucking bow, 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 right? And then suddenly, right, both of you are in the heat of the moment, boom, straight into the nose, fall back, hit head, dead. And you're like, what the fuck?
殺してねえよな。
フータ、
なんだよ。
先に述べたミルグラムの性質上、お前の人殺しも今の時点では問題にはならない。僕はそのことでお前を責める気もない。一旦落ち着くといい。
殺してねえっつうの。
どちらでもいいさ。いずれミルグラムの力でわかる問題だ。お前の心象を除くことになるからな。
プライバシーの侵害だろ。ふざけんなよ。
お前にとっては好都合だろ。
He is very interested in personability, right? His person, his self, the, like his, how do you say, self-identity, right? And like, and realization of himself. So that is very interesting.
本当に人を殺していないんだったら、それを証明できるんだ。
そうだけどよ。
安心しろ。ミルグラムは、まあ、僕もかな。別にお前の敵じゃない。たとえ法律を犯していても、人を殺していても、ミルグラムで許すと判断されれば許される。ある意味、フラットだろ。まあ、お前の味方というわけでもないけどな。
That's another thing that I'm really interested in is that like of so far who they've shown and whether we should forgive them or not. Not if they are innocent or guilty, but do we forgive them? So far, Haruka, I don't forgive, right? I just something with him that I'm getting like a gut feeling. Even with the lack of information and misleading, I just don't. Something's up. I don't. Bad vibes, and with Yuno Gasai is interesting too because I don't. Right, it's. She's much more like middle ground, right? I could see and understand possibly forgiving her, but so far, just based on the personality of Fuda, I feel like I'd be someone to more willingly forgive Fuda for what has happened. Because, I mean, I make relations very quickly with people, right? To go on a little bit of a tangent. I make relationships with people very quickly. I make friends quickly, but I don't make close friends easily. And I say this to say that if something wrong happens with one of those friends, I am willing to forgive them and give them another chance, as long as it is made aware that this is another chance for them. This is not just me ignoring it. This is their chance to do better, right? Same with people who have done wrong against me, or maybe they have done wrong in their own life, right? I try to give people second chances within reason if I'm able to understand why they did something and what it is that caused them to do something, right? Now, like, if you're a racist, ableist, sexist or the like, right? No forgiveness whatsoever, right? It's kind of like the paradox of tolerance, right? Where you have to be intolerant to intolerance, but tolerant to tolerance, right? And that's kind of like how I operate myself, is trying to understand why somebody might did something within a certain degree of reasonability, and give them a second chance. But myself, right? To allow them that opportunity to show that they can be better.
現状どうしようもねえからな。出口は見当たらねえし、力ずくでも通用しねえと来たらよ。おいやつ、
言葉遣いに気をつけろと言ったはずだが。
うるせえ、どうせ俺より年下だろ。
やれやれ、野蛮人。
Yada. It's interesting that they translated that to my oh my instead of like good grief, which is how I've always seen that translated as good grief. Yada. Yada だぜ。
ここは何なんだよ。何の目的で俺たちを捕らえてんだ。
答えるつもりはない。お前たちはただ監獄で生活をしていればいい。
おい、囚人だからってなめんなよ。刑務所の中の人権侵害とか今時問題になってんの知らねえのかよ。
なんだ、囚人だということ。
Yeah, human rights violations in prison, but we forget about the children in cages at the border and literal fucking concentration camps like Guantanamo Bay. But terrorist.
は認めたのか。
言葉のあやだバカ。
こちらからの質問をするぞ。監獄内の生活はどうだ。
どうもこうもねえよ。スマホも PC もねえし、現代人からネットワークを奪うなんてどうかしてんじゃねえのか。
他の囚人との関係性はどうだ。
別に。でも変な奴らだよ。なんでか落ち着いてる奴も多い。こんな状況だっつうのに。特に気に食わねえのが指導と和井のおっさんコンビだな。
Quit looking at me with them big old eyes.
この緊急事態だっつうのに年長者のくせにのんきにしやがって。頼りねえたらありゃしねえ。
そうか。
ああ、はるかもみことも全然だけどな。俺が引っ張っていかなきゃなんねえ。そもそも女は頼りにしてねえしな。代表してガツンと言ってやるよっつって今回も俺が来てるわけよ。
ああ、それであんなに興奮してたのか。しかし代表の割にやけに震えていたな。
いや、それはユノのやつが尋問室でとんでもねえ暴力を受けたって言ってたからよ。武者震い。
He was hoping to seek justice, huh? Interesting. And saying that she suffered violence, despite the fact she was the one leading the conversation throughout it all. That shows you what kind of person she is, that she's willing to embellish stories that are in favor of herself.
ユノ、律儀にやってくれたんだな。
なんか言ったかよ。
特に何も。しかし。
Did they really say that? I completely forget.
よく喋るようになったじゃないか。
は？お前が質問してきたんだろうが。
最初はよっぽど怯えていたのだろうな。先制攻撃することでそれをごまかす。そうして自分を守ってきたのだな。は
あ、喧嘩売ってんのかよ。
僕がお前を判断するために必要な評価だ。気を悪くするな。
おいおいおい、偉そうに人を評価してんじゃねえぞ。違法行為だらけのやつがよ。ここを出たら絶対に訴えてやるからな。お前もただで。
Once I'm out of prison, I'm going to sue this American black site that doesn't exist on any actual forms.
と思うなよ。俺は悪いやつは許さねえ。このミルグラムとかいう場所も絶対に潰してやる。
僕が悪いやつか。その発想はなかった。ではフータ、お前は正義か。
足りめえだろ。悪をぶっ潰すのが正義だ。
正義が人を殺したのか。
Justice is defined by the victor. Marines are evil. Pirates are just. However that Doflamingo speech goes. Like, exactly. Like, what defines justice? What is justice? Justice is a term defined by those that rule and put in place law. Right? To me, justice is the idea of people who do bad getting their just desserts and their comeuppance for their actions. Karmic justice, right? Getting what comes to you for the bad deeds that you do. But to other people, such as in white America, justice might be somebody so-called having, a few grams of an illicit substance on them and then being fucking killed, regardless of skin color, right? That could be justice because, it's a act of evil on our just institution, right? So, again, what is justice? Because justice is defined by individual, along with the system. The system can also try and define justice, but that justice is only what benefits itself, right? Now, you can take this as being more malicious, as in actively being willingly putting down other people to continue the system of, say, capital, or you can say that it's just culture. It is not trying to be actively evil. That's just how it is. Because people agree and think that that is what is right. That is the just thing to do. And it just so happens to continue upholding the system at play because everyone else is playing along.
では思考実験だ。どう思う？正義のための殺しは許されるか？
許される。許されるに決まってる。
興味があるな。果たして正義は許されるのか？善悪、罪、そこに因果関係はあるのか？
おい、何ブツブツ言ってやがる。
Yeah, they definitely have a casual relationship if you're in organized religion.
なんだ、何が起きてやがる。
時間か。見せてもらうよ。お前の正義。
歌を抽出するってやつか。好きにしやがれ。
そうさせてもらおう。何か言い残したことはあるか？
Any last words?
言い残したことね。おいやつ。
なんだ？
なんで笑ってやがった？最初の方、こっちの話だとか言ってはぐらかしてただろ。ああいうのもやもやして気持ち悪いんだよ。
ああ、あまりに囚人らしい囚人だったもので正直少し嬉しくなった。おかげでいつもより張り切っていじめてしまったかもしれないな。
はあ、
楽しかったよ。ありがとう。囚人番号3番フータ。さあ お前の罪を歌え。
Let's go straight into it. Don't even wait. Ah, damn. He does really act like a prisoner, and you know. Gotta restart that. Hold on. I'm sorry. I was. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. This is exactly what I thought it was. Yeah. Oh. Yep, I get it. Does he turn himself in, or do they come to him? Yep. No, 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 go back. Go back! Okay. Okay. Yeah, that turned out exactly how I expected it to. That turned out exactly how I expected it to. Vigilante justice was what he was doing. So let's break this down, right? Because, you know, I called it. I fucking called it, right? he's looking through the internet, right? Kind of observing how people do, and then he is willingly, hiding his identity, going out, and, finding these people and seeing if they are truly as bad as people think that they are, right? And, like, you can see in the lyrics that, he believes in what he is doing, right? This is not just adventurist. This is not just something like, I'm doing it for fame and for glory, right? Because let's take, for example, pedophile hunters, right? Now, everybody, like, might enjoy seeing them get beat up, right? And, I mean, hey, me too. I think that, seeing a person get their karmic justice is fitting, but does it really help anybody to see and go out and punch on these pedophiles without actually having them go to prison, without actually having them face trial, without having them actually learn from their mistakes and trying to talk to them of what they were doing wrong and the likes, right? And you can kind of see this with Fuda's shit too, but he actively talks about how he wants to use his words as a form of justice to those who have committed wrongs, right? As opposed to, in this scenario, the pedophile hunters who just go around insulting, beating up people, and catfishing people into places just for entertainment and views. Not actually trying to do justice and, give them warnings and, give them a proper scare and maybe rough them up to then learn from their mistake, right? These pedophile hunters are just doing it as a form of gratification because they know that they can get away with punching down on somebody who is deserving of it, right? Which is something that needs to be reminded of, that just because in the end violence is still happening to somebody who might be deserving of it, it is why that violence is happening and how that violence is being operated that matters, right? Because no matter what society wants to tell you, no matter what people try to tell you, news and the like, violence is nuanced. Not all violence is bad. Not all violence is good either. You have to be able to use nuance and critical thinking to understand when and where it is necessary and how it is necessary. And it definitely seemed that was what Fuda was doing, right? Because let's take, for instance, I don't know what these tweets in the background translate to. I would love to hear that. But I will also mention, because here it is, that he does see what he is doing as a game, right? He believes in what he is doing from what the lyrics are saying, and so far what we are being told, but he does see it as a game. You might see that as a disconnection from reality, and not really being able to be accountable for his actions. I see it more as a visual representation of his mentality about it, right? He sees it almost like an adventure, right? He believes in what he is doing, but he might not be taking it as seriously or as realistic as it is, right? Which, I mean, is fine, right? We all can perceive things how we want. It's whether or not that is, that hurts us in the end, right? Or if that is harmful to movements or our relationships, that matters, right? Because once you start trying to game something too much or view something as being fun to the point to where now you are being disconnected too far from the reality of the situation, then it becomes bad. And it definitely seems that that's what this is. This is him This is not just the fact that he's a gamer, right? He probably is, but it's also the fact that this is how he views the situations, right? This is how he views his callouts on social media of him calling out bad people. It's people like a raid going in and, using his words, shit talking them and, and bringing them down a peg, kind of like, cancel kind of thing, right? And, fuck yeah, based, Fuda, awesome. And it also seems that he's actively trying to find people, possibly out of the passion for it. I do this shit for the love of the game, right? But also, for the fact that he is maybe trying to prove himself, but also trying to actively do good, maybe. But yeah, it seems like, the wanted board represents, social media, which is, ironic because, back in the day, the way that you communicated with people were through BBSs, right? Bulletin board systems. And what else were bulletin boards used for in the past? Wanted posters. And especially within fantasy, bulletin boards are always used for wanted and, adventures, finding missions and the like. So that's really interesting that that's what's being shown here. Again, taking pictures, blackmail, and the like, because this is exactly the situation from before. Also, he plays soccer. Awesome. Also fits his personality of being a very rough and tumble kind of guy. And then you see all of these people, getting onto it. And again, Victory March. This is the Victory March. He's going after bigger and bigger people. And it seems like when he found the one, he was doing it in person this time, right? Instead of being across a screen. And this is where you get to see, because he had been doing it for so long, he's at a high level, that that now he's doing it in person. But instead of being online, the barriers kind of blurred a little. And, of course, as always, people were with him, and he was able to, get into a fight with the person, and, really prove himself and really show how wrong they were, right? And you can even tell in the lyrics that he might be taking a little too much pleasure in it because he is now glorifying himself by calling himself hero. But you can tell that despite everyone cheering and everyone being like, yeah, hell yeah, we took down somebody, hell yeah, vigilante justice, that he is happy in the moment, then he realizes what he did. And he's like, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to kill them. I just wanted to rough them up a bit. And then he hides away and is probably scrolling through his phone and hearing people talk about it because of social media, and the people that were on social media that came from it are now talking about it, and he's probably hiding away, and I wonder if he turns himself in or the cops find him. That would be very interesting. Anyway, let's go on to Moo. Oh, and I want to also say right out the gate, so far from what we know about Fuda and how he operated, I would be very much more lenient into forgiving him. Personally, I would be. I would be far more willing to forgive him for what he did. Even if when we find out more about what happened and who it was, of why that was wrong, right? Also, really interesting that he brought out defamation of character, in violation of privacy and the like, despite the fact that he technically did that to other people, right? Defaming people and calling them out and call out posts, hit pieces and the like, and then invading their privacy and literally seeing them and meeting them in person to perform vigilante justice.
Oi, いつまで泣いている。囚人番号4番ムー。 尋問が始められないだろう。
尋問って何？絶対ひどい目に遭うんだ。やだ。
そんなことはしないと何度も。
And again, from a meta perspective of the fact that these are the pair that we're watching, it's 4 and 5, yeah, no, 3 and 4, with Futa and Mu, that possibly they're both they kind of mirror each other in a way, right? So I'm very curious as to how her reaction to everything reflects what she did.
言っているだろう。もう5分経っている。時間は有限なんだぞ。
信じられるわけないもん。こんな変なところに連れてくる人が変なことしないわけないもん。
気持ちはわからんでもないが。
Because again, remember what I said in the first episode about what I imagined that her crime was. She killed an abuser based on what her corrupted speech at the end of her introduction to her voice was. I'm very much imagining that why she's in prison now is that she probably got fed up and maybe even accidentally, again, crime of passion, much like Mu, killed somebody who hurt her. And now she is scared because of what happened.
話を聞くだけだ。お前の罪を判断するための参考にな。
本当に話だけ？
ああ。それが僕の方針だ。暴力を用いての
Except for the fact they fucking slapped the shit out of Haruka. Just
問や脅迫などはするつもりはない。僕なりにきちんとお前らのことを知りたいからな。
She's very cute.
いいな。
クスノキ。
She is only cute. She is only cute. Wait. Oh, dude. Oh my god. Anime, am I right? Never being able to properly judge how old a person is. You gotta wait. You always have to make sure what you're looking at and who you're talking to, right? Like, I mean, that's how people get in trouble on like Twitter and the like. People are like, I'm a minor actually, and they're like, right? The only good thing to do in that situation so that you don't get canceled, also, as you should, because you should feel weird about realizing of who you were talking to, as unfortunately that has happened to me on a number of occasions growing up, especially whenever I was considered, over 18 and the like, of talking to, like, meeting somebody, and, I might have said something, and, like, they're like, I'm a minor. I'm like, oh shit, I'm sorry. I'm so used to, like, talking to people my own age that I should have, I'm sorry. Happens all the fucking time. And that's why I make sure to establish that this is an 18 plus channel, so that if I say anything weird or if I swear at you or anything like that, obviously teasingly and playfully, that I'm not going to get in trouble. But if you are underage, I can't stop you from being here. The only way that I'd be able to moderate that is if I had like a Discord or something like that. Anyway. Yeah, that was my little tangent. Which also, again, leads me to believe that she definitely did possibly kill an abuser, like a parent, because she's 16. She probably lived with him.
16歳。
And most families live together in Japan, right? Like, in America, we have a culture of moving out at 16 or 18 or, in your 20s, right? But in other places like Asia, that's kind of unheard of. Living with at least one other family member is far more common than living on your own, unless you make the money required to do so. But then again, there's also the cultural thing, right? Family culture and the like. I mean, hell, I live with family, and I'm, I'm as old as I am, 23. But I don't see anything wrong with that, and I've always found it weird that other people find that strange, that, oh, you should be living on your own by now. But like, why? I have family. I love my family. I love who I live with. Why would I ever want to disconnect from them, right? I mean, doing my own thing, of course, but I would never want to, cut myself off just to, live up to an expectation of living on my own, right? There's a difference between leaving home and going and doing like your own adventure, and purposefully cutting off connections just to live up to an idea of living alone.
と何を言えばいいの？
So she's a sophomore.
少し気になっていたんだが、その
Hafu, half, and Dabaru, or double, can both be translated as half Japanese. The former has been around far longer and is more commonly used. Dabaru is one of the newer alternatives to the original Hafu. Might feel discriminatory to people. Mix is also sometimes used.
顔立ち、ハーフというやつか。
Ah.
ダブル。ママがフランスの人。日本生まれ日本育ちだけどね。
その容姿だとさぞ目立ったことだろうな。
うん、そうだね。お家もお金持ちだから、やっかみとか。
Which is interesting. I wonder who it was that was bullying her. Again, abuser. The idea of that is that so far the information that is being told to us is leading us in one direction or another based on the already context that we have on her.
たくさん。
そういうものか。ミルグラムの生活はどうだ？
どうもこうもないよ。早く帰りたい。
ほう。なぜだ？お前たちにはそれなりに自由も与えている。
I wonder what those indulgences
嗜
are.
好品の類も最低限支給している。事実、お前からもミルクレープの申請があった。
それはそうなんだけど、ミルクレープは食べたけど。
Interesting that the way S is describing these concessions given to them almost as if they should be grateful for them. But then once they ask for too much, they are reprimanded for it, almost as if shouldn't you be grateful for what you already have. Interesting. Very almost, again, abusive kind of mentality, right? Much like how an abusive parent would say, like, oh, I feed you, I give you a house, I put a roof over your head, I take care of you, right? Despite the fact that those are intrinsic necessities of being a person, regardless of the quality of them. That's just what you give somebody. That is not a luxury, right? Being given the opportunity to eat, having a roof over your head, now and even now in the modern West and in modern society, electricity or even the internet, right? Those are just things that people have and should be allowed to have. Those are not luxuries that are willingly or, should be so actively stripped away from people because they are ungrateful for them.
お家帰りたいよ。絶対にパパとママが心配してるもん。
I do feel bad for her. So far. Just a bit.
大体何なのここ。なんでムーがこんなとこに連れてこられなきゃいけないの？
簡単な話だ。人殺しだからだろう。ミルグラムは人殺しを集めてくる。そこは間違いないようだ。
人殺しってなんでそんなひどいこと言うの。もう悪くない。
Oh, again, enter another thing that I remember talking about is that what if one of them has been framed? What if one of them hasn't killed anybody, right? And that like they all committed murder. That I know that I've been told that they have all committed murder in some way or another. But what if one of them has been mislabeled as murder and thus still counts as being a murderer because they have all been labeled as such?
ないもん。
Which, I mean, again, comes down to the whole idea of did they do it, did they not do it? And I was told that, yes, they all did it. It's why they did it is the case. But again, maybe there is a little bit of leeway. Maybe there is an exception within there, right? That maybe we don't know enough yet about them. And that from what we've been told about MILGRAM of how everyone has killed, that's a fact. Maybe the idea that Mu killed someone is that she was framed.
殺してないとは言わないんだな。
それは
それはどうした？
殺したよ。でもあっちが悪い。
Oh. Oh, okay. Never mind. Again, I said that because I was just trying to, like offer up ideas. But interesting. Because the way that she feels very detached from it at the same time, the way that she's speaking and the vocabulary that she's using, but it almost feels like she's kind of being very brief about it and like trying to not get into as much details because maybe she's having a hard time herself with it. Like, I had such a tough time, so I killed somebody, right? That's a very weird way to say it. Almost as if they're not willing to go into detail about what is happening or what happened.
いいんだよ。殺さなきゃいけないくらい。もう辛かったんだもん。
報復ということか。
確かに殺したかもしれないけど、そうじゃなきゃ逃げられなかったんだし、ムーにひどいことする方が悪いもん。
Yep.
続けろ。
殺しちゃダメって言うなら、ムーはずっと辛い思いをしとけばよかったってことなの？
理由はどうあれ、お前は明確に殺意を持って人を殺しているな。
何？
But what is malice? What is malicious, right? Within the context of law, it is the want and premeditation of committing a crime, right? That is malice because you are willfully harming somebody and doing harm onto another person. But is her trying to escape a bad situation and feeling that the only way of her escaping is to take the life? Because if she, like, let's say it was a parent, right? They're rich. They'll find her. Right? That will happen. That happens all the time with rich abusive families. They have, resources to just find them. And guess what? They go right back to it. Right back to abuse. Even if for a while it's okay. But that's just abuse. So maybe that was the only solution to her problem, is using force to break away from the situation in which she was in.
それがどうしたの？
家へ返してと言っていたな。仮にだが、ここを出られても警察の世話になるだろうな。そもそもムーが人を殺したことについて警察は動いていないのか？
知らないよ。
That's interesting. Wait, what? The idea that they would be brushed by the police as if they're still in active investigation despite the fact that they're in jail tells me that what is happening with MILGRAM is not happening within a judicial legal government framework. It is happening outside of it, which ties back into the point that was said that S was the one that brought them there, which could be literal. S was the one that brought them there somehow, some way, and then they forgot about it.
やっちゃった後から しばらく記憶がはっきりしないもん。気づいたらここにいたし。
そうなのか。
自分たちが連れてきたくせに。
ミルグラムには10人の人殺しが収監されている。どうもこれは日本の法律に照らした殺人犯や犯罪者に限った話ではないようだ。ミルグラム独自の抗議の人殺しのようだ。それは
What I say? What I say? What I say? What I say?
何人かに話を聞き分かってきた。
そうなの？
た
Yeah, it is. They have killed somebody, but it's the framework around that that matters and determines whether they should be forgiven or not.
だムー、お前は殺意も明確、シンプルだ。お前たちが言うところの刑法199条殺人罪というものに当てはまるだろう。
Well, Article 199, as I've just read, is just the act of homicide itself.
知らない。もうそんなの詳しくない。
It's interesting that S does,
僕
despite how
も
young
別
they
に
are.
詳しくない。参考までに書庫にある資料で調べただけだ。ここで重要なのは、お前たちの法律に照らせばアウトだという事実だ。
少年法っていうのがあるんじゃ。
Juvenile law states several things, but what S and Moo are likely referring to is the statement about law whose under 14 years of age are not punished for their conduct. Oh, I mean, whenever I hear about it, it's usually that whenever somebody is younger, they're not punished as harshly. But within the U.S., I mean, kids are tried as adults all the time if usually they're black. You know, the crime is considered harsh enough, despite the fact that it's not taking into account why they did it or the conditions around them of how and what caused them to do so, right? I mean, look at the fact of, 16-year-olds that were sent to the electric chair, right? I mean, we all know that famous picture of that poor black kid that was fucking crying his eyes out in like the electric chair, right? And the story behind that is heartbreaking, that this poor fucking kid is just being put to death because of racism, despite the fact they would not have done that to a white child, right? They would not have done that to any other kid that same kid's age. But because of the racism and the prejudice against him, he was put to death. But it's interesting that the juvenile law that they're referring to is different.
ないの？
ある。だが16歳以上であれば刑事裁判を受け懲役だ。死刑こそ免れるようだがな。ムーが望むようなまともな生活は送れないだろう。
懲役？やだ、そんなの。
やだと言って聞いてくれ。
Hey, using abusing criminals for labor instead of actively compensating them with wages, and using them just to continue capitalism. Way to go, Japan. Way to go, Japan. You fucking hellscape.
ものか。
At least you make cool stories.
ミルグラムは僕の方針で囚人たちに相当な自由を与えているが、実際の刑務所はそうはいかないだろうな。もちろんミルクレープもなしだ。
やだ、やだよ。おかしいよ。もう悪くないのに懲役なんて、そんなのおかしい。
そうだな。じゃあこう考えてみろ。
Milgram is protecting you from the law. Again, that shows that it's outside of traditional judiciary practices. But again, I mean, yeah, it is still fucked up, right? I mean, like, could you imagine that? Oh, I shot someone while hunting on accident. I'm stuck in prison. but like not being able to. Yeah, again, penal servitude is. I mean, that's still fucked up, right? I mean, both of these situations are fucked up. You have to recognize that, right? Being used for labor without proper compensation for your time, or having that taken away from your sentence, and only using your crime and servitude as a form to then benefit others without representation, which we went into last episode, right? Of actual, like, using prison labor is a good idea if properly, depending on what the labor is being used for. But most of these time, these private prisons, even if they're government institutions, the labor that is being used for them does not actively benefit society a lot of times. But I don't know how it works in Japan. But a lot of times, the labor, they might be paid 10 cents, right? Because they're required to be paid something. But it's far and away anything from, minimum wage, or anything along those lines. But again, because if you're just, using somebody for their labor, especially incriminating them and then putting them in jail, right? That's the big point, right? Because many people are actively mass incarcerated just to be a labor force instead of actively trying to punish crime and rehabilitate crime. That is fucked up. And again, I don't know how Japan's works, but the fact that it works eerily similar to how America's works, even in many degrees of difference, is wrong.
ミルグラムは法律からお前を守っていると。
守ってるムーを。
そうだ。ミルグラムは現状、あくまで現状だが、法律を善悪の基準としていない。最終的に僕がどう思うかでしかない。
看守さんの言ってること難しくてわからない。もっとわかりやすく言ってほしいよ。
私は悪くない。ずっとお前はそう言っているだろう。その通りだ。殺人それ自体はミルグラムでは罪ではない。
そうだよね。悪くないよね。
そうだ。
Ooh, interesting. The way that she said it wasn't a bad thing to do, right? Not her crime specifically, but the idea of it itself is interesting, which makes me consider maybe there's something mentally going on with her. As a commenter said, all these people need fucking therapy. Which, again, it's one of those things like, these are children, why not just give them therapy instead of fucking locking them up? Are you fucking kidding me? This is one of those things, again, penal labor from a 16-year-old instead of fucking giving them therapy? Fuck you, you bourgeoisie fucks! Okay, I'm done. Keep going. Would it be? Yeah, no, it would be bourgeoisie, absolutely, because of Japanese. Yeah, okay, yeah. I wanted to correct myself to make sure I was using the right term.
最終的に僕もお前は悪くないと思うかもしれない。僕がムーのことを知り、ムーと同じ感覚であれば、お前は許されるだろう。
感謝さ
ん。許されたければ、そこにかけるしかないんだよ。お前は。
どうすればいいの？どうすれば看守さんは許してくれるの？何でもするよ。痛いこととか恥ずかしいことは嫌だけど。
She immediately thought of like weird shit. She was like, maybe not weird shit.
あと怖いのも嫌だ。
お前な。
だってそうでしょ。
That is also really weird. She is saying that to well, actually no, they're relatively really interesting. S is 15, Moo is 16. But notice their designs. S looks a lot younger visually. He looks 15, or they look 15. But it's interesting that Moo Mu looks closer in age to how Yuno does than to how Amanai does, despite the fact there's only a 4-year difference between them, and in reality, a 16-year-old would look roughly the same way that S does. Interesting. I wonder if that visual is purposeful or not.
つまり
Maybe it's just
感謝
anime.
さん
Who
に
knows?
気に入られればいいんでしょ
Trying underage girls like adults. Way to go, Japan. Name a popular shonen series that actively draws their fictional female characters as conventionally attractive, but then actively saying they are children. That's weird.
言うこと聞く何すればいいの
さあな殊勝な態度だが僕がどう考えるかは
Actually, that might be really funny to do. I don't know if I'll do it in editing or not, but like when I just said that, I'll just like put up a bunch of like shonen female characters that are very much explicitly labeled to be a high schooler, but they do not look that way. I'm sure you can, you know what, list some in the comments.
え
それこそお前が美人だか
I
ら
might forgive you just be
美人だから
Yes.
許さないもあり得
I
ると
also
いう
might not
話だ
forgive you
それを決めるのが
for the exact same reason. Oh.
ちょっと待って感謝さん
何ちょっとしたジョークだ僕次第ではそうなる可能性もある
いやそうじゃなくて
Which I'm sure people did vote for her because she was cute.
気になるんだけど
どうした言ってみろ
看守さんなんで全部他人事みたいなのどうなるかわからないって自分の話なのになんでそんな
That
他
is
人
true.
事みたいなの
Again, that from a narrative perspective, that is interesting because we are an insert for S, but S is also their own character, and it's very cool that the narrative itself is playing into that by the way that S speaks is by having them be less personable
何を
or self-actualize in a way, right?
だっておかしいよ感謝さんの意思で決めるんでしょ感謝さんが今どう思ってるのか聞いてるのにねえ、感謝さんの言う僕って誰感謝さん感謝さんどうしたの感謝さん
Oh, interesting. Holy shit. Holy shit. Holy shit. Thumbnail. That is, oh my god, that's so cool. That's so cool. They're actively talking about that. They're actively talking about and mentioning the fact that S is us, but S is referring to us, but is then actively separating themselves in the way that they speak. I don't know how to think about you. And then Moo's like, but who are you talking about then? That's cool. That's fucking cool. Also, the fact that she's able to touch them here is interesting.
感謝さん
うるさい触るな
ひどい心配しただけなのにも
This poor
う
kid.
やだ感謝さん嫌い
Oh, again, I wonder if this is another point of her character is that now she's crying. I wonder if this is something that happened before, too, that she then decided to kill somebody, right? She was very mentally kind of like unstable in terms of her emotions, right? She was very, almost like bipolar or even BPD, right? Borderline personality, where like she very much flip-flopped very quickly between crying or, actively being really sad, and she lashed out, right? Saying that she hated somebody and killed him. Jackalope.
ジャッカロープどこから？
ジャックロープ。はあ、分かってる。分かってるよ。
ウサギと喋ってる。
Holy shit! Holy shit! S is the only one that can fucking hear Jackalope! What the fuck? Holy shit! Which makes me think, oh my god. What if S's mind is actively imprinting the thoughts that Jackalope is having onto Jackalope? But then again, it said that they cook, that he cooks, so, I don't know.
言われるまでもない。僕にもわからないが、もう大丈夫だ。言ってくれ。僕の仕事だから。ああ、もううるさいな。保護者じゃないんだから、小言はもういい。行け。
But they did respond. Jackalope did respond, so I'm wondering if Jackalope is very much mentally aware, or is just straight up sentient, but is communicating with S directly, maybe telepathically.
行っちゃった。
すまない。取り乱した。
おかしくなっちゃったの？看守さん。
いや、ジャッカロープの声は僕にしか聞こえないんだ。
So you have completely
完全におかしくなっちゃってるんだ。
違う。哀れみの目で見るな。ああ？
変なの。
Yep, what did I say? What did I just say about the flip-flopping of emotions?
なんかもうわけわからないことが続いて一周回っちゃった。難しいこと言ってたと思ったらウサギと話し出すし。なんだっけ、何を聞こうとしてたかも忘れちゃった。もういいや、怖くなくなったし。
それは何よりだ。
つまり看守さん好みの人になればいいんだよね。そしたら許してもらえるんだ。
そういうことになるか？
そうだよ。看守さんも人間だし。頑張る。看守さんの好みを知るよ。
頑張れ。I'll do my
ウサギ
best.
と話すかわいそう
You're
な
a
人
sad
だけど。
case who talks to rabbits.
もうそれでいい。お前との話はテンポが悪くてかなわん。
絶対帰るから。
Oh, interesting, because she mentioned... So it might not have been a parent because she's actively talked about mom and dad. So it wasn't one of them.
ママのとこに帰るんだもん。
Unless she's just fucking crazy.
許してもらえればきっと帰れるよね。
知らないけどな。
やっぱり考えてみれば全然悪くないムーを捕まえようとするダメな警察よりもミルグラムの方がいいかも。
Someone who's definitely not in the wrong. She has to make that away.
まあ、それはそれでいいか。おとなしく尋問を受けてくれるなら。
何？壁が動いてる。
I want to see the walls, what's actually happening there. I want to see that animated.
もう時間か。あまり話せた気がしないが、 まあいい。お前の心の中覗かせてもらう。
歌にするってやつ痛く
It
ない？
hurts a lot.
多分な。
痛いならやだ、やらない。
ダメに決まっているだろう。痛くないから安心しろ。
じゃあやってもいいよ。
Folded under zero pressure.
そもそも選べるものじゃない。
ガンシュさん、せっかくやるんだったらちゃんと見ててね。ムー絶対悪くないから、仕方ないって思うはずだから。
ああ、見せてもらうとするよ。
I'm definitely thinking that
変な判断したら許さないからね。判断したら許さないからね。
interesting. She makes these small revelations.
バカにするなよ。囚人番号4番、ムー。
I definitely think something's going on with her that we're not knowing the full thing about. Emotional irregularity and the like.
私がいなくなれば消えればよかったの。もう来ちゃったしちゃった、こんなにも私はいらない。特別意味はないのはずでを切ったの。もう来ちゃったしちゃった、こんなにも私はいらない。ねえなんで痛いのやめてくれないの。乾いちゃってどうしたら。ごめんの魔法はきっと
She looks so pathetic,
聞き飽きちゃったんだね。
which is, I assume, the point.
悪いところはあるからさ。これできっといいのかも。生きてるの感じたよ。息してもいいのかな。教えて。ごめんなさいが届かないよ。ごめんなさいが届かないよ。ごめんなさいが届かないよ。ごめんなさいが届かないよ。 明日に行きたくはない。昨日は忘れたい。私はとてもつらかったの。助けて誰か。ねえもしも私のこと終わるものにするなら無視したっていいからね。我慢ならもう慣れてまた味わってだけ。それなのに消したはずなのに夢に見ちゃうのよ。私もダメからね。さよならの前にとかもう一度なんちゃって忘れて。痛みの中で会いましょう。私だけの居場所。心隠す死にでしょう。ほどき方はないしょ。悪魔の声による死傷。返す刃は一緒。あなたが好きよ。痛みの中で会いましょう。私だけの居場所。心隠す死にでしょう。ほどき方はないしょ。悪魔の声による死傷。返す刃は一緒。あなたが好きよ。ねえなんで痛いのやめてくれないの。乾いちゃってどうしたら。ごめんの魔法はきっと聞き飽きちゃったんだね。でも多分私も悪いところはあるからさ。これできっといいのかも。生きてるの感じたよ。息してもいいのかな。教えて。ごめんなさいが届かないよ。ごめんなさいが届かないよ。ごめんなさいが届かないよ。ごめんなさいが届かないよ。ごめんなさいが聞こえないよ。ごめんなさいが聞こえないよ。ごめんなさいが聞こえないよ。ごめんなさいが聞こえないよ。私がいなくなれば消えればよかったの。もう来ちゃったしちゃった、こんなにも
I'm sure those flowers have symbolism in some way. That's probably where the classmates sat. Nope, I don't want to listen to the old man. Interesting. Wow. That was basically what I figured, but kind of not how I expected it at the same time. It was not a parent, it was a classmate. She was the one that killed this classmate. Sorry. I had a hair in my mouth. And one thing I want to mention right here is I want to know what this says. I'm sure these are just insults towards her and things that have been said to her. But if you notice, again, it seems like here where it looked like she attacked here, it actually happened in school. It was not outside, right? Because if it was outside, then why is it that she's remembering people surrounding her are still in school uniforms and there are supplies around her? So I think this here is supposed to be a literal, like, her stepping over, right? What I'm imagining happened is that she got bullied, pushed around, straight up actually abused. I don't know if those are the same, if those people in the picture are the same people. Yeah, I don't know if these are the same people as we saw here, right? Because again, she just looks like she's been like pushed around. No, definitely don't look, well, no, not the same. Nope, different hair length there, and the curl is different than the one here. Oh, or maybe actually, the one on the left does look similar to the one on the right. Oh, interesting. She was maybe even betrayed, right? Like, she took a picture of herself with them, and then they just started bullying her. And she keeps trying to maybe rekindle that, trying to break free of this hourglass, but, trying to, like, actually be friends. But symbolically here, time is weighing her down. The constant abuse is weighing down on her, right? Is pouring down on her. And it definitely, this is the one that she killed right here. Which is interesting. It seems almost as if she just came out of the stall, right? Like she was just an observer, but it definitely seems that she was an active participant because it looks like from the perspective she was pushed out of the stall, which is interesting. But again, she's been abused so many times, right? Like right here, just, all sorts of shit. Oh, right there, look. Somebody had put little pins in her shoes, which is also really interesting because I was actively thinking about how this reminded me of the like bully trope and like in a lot of like really edgy kind of like anime or like really sad anime angsty shit of like that one gif of opening up the locker and it's just shoes filled with razor blades. It's really interesting that is literally what was happening here, but a little bit more like not mundane, but a little bit more realistic. So yeah, it definitely seems like her running after them is more symbolic, right? It was not after school. It was that because if you look, she looks the exact same as she did in the bathroom. So what probably happened was she got up. The girl here had no real reaction. At first, I was wondering in the moment if this was possibly a friend of hers, and the way her eyes widen is because this was the first time that somebody who's not faceless sees her, and then she chases after him, wants to be friends, maybe confess, something like that. But no, it seems like that she's fed up with it, right? And then this right here, this crying happened in class. Symbolically, it happened isolated in her mind because it was just her. It was her and Mu at that point. And her running is maybe symbolic of the fact of her, like, running after her in class, down a hallway or something, back to class. And she's maybe pleading with her, but then she pulls away. And all of that time, all of that abuse, all of that hurt that she was actively being drowned by the green earlier in the throughout this entire MV breaks. And she takes her X-Acto knife and stabs her. And it definitely seems like it wasn't meant to be a kill. It was meant to just be a lash out, right? Of just like fed up, right? Which is interesting. Again, almost like in self-defense, but not at the same time. And then here she is holding the bloody knife. I remember I saw it. I saw the X-Acto knife here. Where is it? Here. And I was like, 100%, right? 100% she's going to use that. But like this poor girl, right? Being bullied so badly. Almost to like a pathetic extent. Like her food's knocked all over the place. The poor fucking hot dog. And her supplies and everything actively being bullied. No wonder she lashed out. I would definitely think that, yes, it was wrong for her to do it in this case, in this scenario, and based on how she has talked so far, something is wrong with her. And yes, it was wrong, because she could have possibly used, like, her parents' influence to stop it from happening, right? Instead of lashing out. But then again, trauma, abuse, it's one of those things where it builds up over time because you're afraid to seek help. And it causes things like this to happen, right? And oftentimes, as I know, Japanese high schools don't really care about that kind of thing, right? You can go to teachers and they won't really care because they don't care about interpersonal relationships. They care about grades. They care about the culture of intelligence around Japan, as I understand it. So, of course, this would happen. So, yes. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. I'm going to use this as the thumbnail right here. Very cool. Very cool. And again, she's surrounded, which tells me that, which is interesting, that I wonder if her count of murder, she murdered. So was she just not rushed to the hospital in time? Because from where the blood, the green, is coming from, it looked like it was a stab into the stomach. Because again, it looked like she went like this, right? Like literally grabbed, went. So like, hold on, let me stand up. So like what she did was she grabbed the X-Acto knife, pulled it out, and then went like that, right? It was not pull out blade and then like try and go for the throat. It was just thrust. Which also shows just how in the moment it was, because she just wasn't thinking. She was just like, fuck it, no. Right? Interesting. Very interesting. And she's holding the same flower that's in the memorial flower here. Oh, interesting. I wonder if this is trying to say, is it suicide or murder? Because maybe it was covered up, and this is just like what the other students are thinking, because most of it is like, kind of being under wraps. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Wow. That almost looks like a peony, or peony, or however you want to say it. Wow. That was awesome. I really enjoyed that. And so that means that the person killed in class was not Amanai, which makes me wonder who and how did the 12-year-old kill somebody? But that will be for later. Zoom on in, please. This was a lot. I've already talked about all my thoughts and all my feelings on everything. But we will be talking about more and continuing the discussion in the comments down below. But as always, thank you all so much for watching. Genuinely. Thank you for all of the support. I will be continuing MILGRAM. I will be continuing to watch and analyze and everything along those lines. This episode will probably be coming up. It's Monday right now as I'm recording this, and I uploaded the main video at 12 p.m. This will probably be coming out Wednesday. So look forward to that. Well, you're already watching it, so I'm not live. But I am live every Friday to chat with you guys. So thank you. If you want to support me, I have a Patreon down below. And also memberships. Memberships are cheaper at 99 cents for the lowest tier. And you get everything that the higher tiers do, except for priority. Because I don't want people to spend 99 cents and then say slurs and have me be forced to respond to them or whatever. I don't know how priority responses work. Anyway, yes, thank you. And here are my patrons. Bye-bye! Thank you to my members and patrons. Sauline, Sleepy Sheepy, Lola Bardazal, Finch R, Eminali, Bell, and Lily McMillan. If you wish to support me and hear your name and see at the end of every video, you can do so by becoming a member or a patron through the links down in the description down below. But then again, you've already heard the outro of this video. Thank you.